of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Review the agenda and we'll proceed as presented. No public comment from the previous meeting. Move on to authorization of bond resolution.
Hi, Bridget. Can you hear us? Thanks for hanging out. Did you hear us? Steve, Bridget, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yep, you have the floor. Sorry, our work session is late.
Oh, that's no problem. I know you guys have a busy agenda tonight. I'll kind of keep it pretty short, actually. So congratulations first on passing the bond issue. You did what kind of few school districts have been able to do in recent years, just with tax impacts growing higher for a lot of residential property taxpayers. But I think you guys came up with a perfect package, obviously with the bond issue passing for your voters, and so great job. Tonight's meeting, we just wanted to kind of gather up and do the first kind of item in the financing time process that we would talk about generally, and that's just to adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds, and that's in your packet tonight. It's a pretty quick resolution. The purpose of it is to really together a bond finance committee that could meet in between school board meetings just to make some decisions as we move along. So we are really up against kind of right away this 60-day window for voters to contest the election, and that's just by state law, and that would be up July 5th. So as soon as we pass kind of that July 5th mark, we can, get all the documents together in the meantime, but be ready to lock interest rates sometime in July so that then you can adopt the final resolution in time for your budget in August for next year. So the levies for these bonds, it's just a 5-year obligation that would start this current year and then just the 4 years thereafter. And so really tonight's step is just the first in that process, and it's just to recognize that the election did pass. We'll create a bond finance committee, and typically in the resolution you'll see that committee is typically the board chair, the superintendent, the business manager, and often one other board member. So typically is a group of 4. And one of the first things we'll talk about is I worked on your last bond issue that we did in 2014. That bond was $5.6 million, and we issued that over 10 years. We broke that up into $5,000 increments to sell to both banks and individual investors. So on a $5.6 million bond and broken up into $5,000 increments, we had 1,120 bonds. For your bond issue, a smaller bond and only over 5 years, we would have 580 different bonds to sell. And recently in 2019 we did the $15.1 million Carter County Hospital bond, and that one we sold in $5,000 increments, and mostly to banks and other investors, and that was done in 2019. And so similar process, breaking it up into $5,000 increments. We had about 30,000 bonds to sell. And so the smaller bonds, sometimes we take a look at, is it better to just, offer these to one bank? And Stockman Bank happens to be your local bank for your, your accounts and so on, and is a significant player in the district. So oftentimes, on a smaller bond, we'll maybe check in with them and see, could you give a little better rate than we could get on a normal bond offering. And so we're in the middle of doing one right now, a bond offering for Glasgow schools, and it just happens to be the exact number as yours, 2.9 million. It's payable over 15 years, and the rate on that is going to be about 4.2% kind of range. So that would just be one of the first steps is, I would check in with Stockman Bank, see if they can do a little better, if it would be a little less. The only thing is you don't end up with having a bond premium. The bond premium could be, say another 100,000 or so for the cost of the project. So one of the other steps we would do right away is let's check in and see kind of where the budget is. Do we think we're going to have enough money? Once you issue these bonds, you're going to invest the proceeds because a lot of the work isn't going to start until next year, it sounds like. So if you have 2.9 million and we're investing at the STIP rate of 4.3%, you could earn another 120,000 just over the next year by investing that money in the STIP account. So that'll be another 100,000 or so for the project. So there are a lot of things, moving pieces and parts that we'll work on over the next time frame here. But the kickoff is really tonight's agenda item, which is just to adopt the bond resolution, create the committee, and then we'll put together a time schedule and get all, once we have the committee members, we can work around everybody's schedule. It's a busy time in the summer. There's usually just a couple of meetings, especially if we decide to streamline it, we can get a little bit better rate just by going directly to Stockman Bank. But that'll all be information we can kind of circle back and let you know in July at your next board meeting. And then again, the goal is to get everything wrapped up by your August board meeting so this bond can appear in the August budget. So that's kind of some of the summary items. The bond market's doing well. Tariff concern has caused rates to move up just a little bit here recently. And then the other kind of interesting thing that's happened since you passed the election is or at the same time as the election, but the legislative session just wrapped up. They changed the tax rates lower for residential properties, so that will lower even further the bond impact for this bond issue. So you'll recall we had estimated the bonds would be about $12 a year per $100,000 residential property. And again, you have a lot of ag property mixed in there too. But because the pipelines now with those lower tax rates for residential properties, the pipelines are going to take even a larger chunk of your obligation. Before the pipelines, last year's tax base, you guys were about 96.6% pipeline concentration, or major taxpayers concentration. The majority of that's within the pipeline. So we would estimate that, moving on to the tax rolls next year with some of the breaks the legislature gave to residential and commercial property, we should see some, lower impacts even over what we projected. So all of that will be good news in August when we work to finalize the budget. You guys to pass the resolution tonight, and then have as part of that resolution, maybe if the board chair, the superintendent, the business manager all want to be on that committee, just name one other board member that would be part of the group, and that would be the only other item to kind of check the box tonight for the meeting.
So Brady, just to clarify, we don't need to talk about the issuance of bonds tonight. That's what the committee is going to decide is how we want to issue those.
Yeah, and we could, we could always, that'll be kind of a discussion item. There's a lot of documents we're getting together in the meantime, and we could always have a special meeting. It's just a matter of, opening up that discussion with Stockman Bank and getting them, to kind of get back to us on a rate. And then probably at your July meeting, we could circle back with the full board.
Okay.
Bridget, has there been any conversation with Stockman Bank yet on your guys' side?
No, we have not.
Okay, just so you're aware of that, we actually had a conversation with them last week about something totally different, and I passed that information on to them, and they were going to pass that to whoever needed to be looking for that after tonight's meeting.
Oh, good. Yeah, we have done just in the last couple of months, a couple of closings with Stockman Bank. And Ron O'Donnell is the person out of the billings office that heads up that effort. So yeah, good. So that'll be good. I think, in the past, they've always been a big purchaser of the bond. So when we go to offer them, if we did break it up into $5,000 increments, like we just did like for instance, the city of Mile City Fire Station, they were a big participant in that offering and your prior offering. So just by their headquarters in Mile City, they do a really good job. But we just have closed two bond issues where they purchased the entire offering instead of breaking it up. So so that'll be good.
So then we just need to know if you want to be on that finance committee and who else. Bond finance.
Yes, we have one more for you.
Who's on the finance committee?
That's not me anymore.
On the finance,
Oh.
pretty sure it's you. I think it's you, there's three of you though. Hold on. Gotta go to the.
I got moved to IBB. I'm not
That
on
is finance,
finance.
that's all.
Oh, tech.
Lisa, Rena, and Stefan are the three IBB finance committee members.
You said there would just be a couple of meetings, Bridget?
Yep.
Is your couple the same as everybody else's couple?
I know, that's a good point. So if we end up going with just a streamlined process of Stockman Bank, that might condense down to probably, 2 meetings for that committee. If we do a normal, like we did with your last bond issue and the Carter County Hospital and most bonds, we would do, maybe a couple more. So there might be 2 meetings on the low side and 4 on the high side. And I have a feeling that Stockman will probably be, giving us a pretty good rate, and we probably will, end up, if I were guessing, choosing that route, but that'll be, we we'll have to work it out with that first.
And those will happen these summer months?
Yeah,
Or
so we would be wrapped up, and they're always, conference call, we can handle what's just a conference call or a Zoom call or a Teams meeting or any of those. We can, and usually they're all less than an hour. It's just more of we send you some information, you take a look at it, and then you guys say, yep, that looks good, let's do this. And then let's present to the board and make a recommendation in the July meeting.
so the meetings will be Zoom or some sort?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
makes it easier for people to.
Yeah. And again, I really have an inkling, we'll see what Stockman Bank says, but they just have been, doing such a great job on some recent offerings that we think that will probably be the route. Maybe we end up deciding to go. It's just a little less work and a fewer costs. You don't have to go through like the bond rating process and some of those, things that both take up time and also cost a little bit. The only offsetting factor is we give up bond premium, and so we take a look at the pros and cons of that as a committee, and then be able to move forward.
Okay. Stefan said he will do it.
Did you say that? Okay.
Stefan did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want to appoint an alternate then if one of you two cannot be there? We just want to be.
Do you want to be the alternate? Someone else can't be there? Okay. Rena would fill in if somebody can't.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. So we will, we'll kind of gather up and get your schedules and maybe have a meeting, but it sounds like you are, the main thing was to introduce the topic of perhaps just going directly to Stockman Bank to see if they would be able to, we'll present them. Part of what we do is we'll present them with what, the other rates have been and comparable financing and see if they can, meet or beat that. And then and especially because we have this Glasgow school bond this week, we'll have those rates on Wednesday.
Thank you for taking the time with us.
Thanks very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
And so you just would adopt a resolution tonight. Are you needing to formally do that next?
Yep, we'll formally do that, but I also have I have to fill in on Tyler stuff too.
Oh, good. Okay,
So,
great. Well, good. Well, we look forward to getting this done, and the financing should be really favorable, and especially when we have kind of all the final numbers with your new taxable value, and in August, we think the news will be really good for people in the district. You know, again, your tax base is just really strong and vibrant with all the major taxpayers. So I think we'll put together a little kind of almost like a press release that you can send out to people in the district to let them know that the bonds are going to come in lower than we had anticipated in the information. So that'll be good news.
perfect. Thanks, Bridget.
Okay, good. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
We can do them two separate, but then also attached is the stuff from Tyler. So the first document was the resolution, and then all of the next ones are from McKinstry.
That was a lot.
It was a lot of stuff. I just included everything he sent me, so I'm really sorry. He was gone when I first told him we moved the meeting, so then I think he was in a panic.
Just sent
And as
everything.
quickly as possible, which I really appreciate. We don't have to do it at the end of the month, but. The biggest thing is the preliminary services contract, which is that big first article.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Is there any board discussion? Comments? Public comment? Public comment? Discussion motion?
I move to approve the bond resolution as presented.
The second motion. Phoebe moved to approve the bond resolution as presented. Lisa second the motion. Is there any public comment? Public comment? Board comment? Phoebe made the motion to approve the bond resolution as presented. Lisa second the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we have to approve or not the preliminary services from McKinstry on that same page. Is there any board discussion on that? Public comment? Public comment? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the service contract with McKinstry for the design build project at the high school.
I'll second that.
Phoebe made the motion to approve the preliminary services contract with McKinstry for the design build project of the high school bond. Is there any public comment? Public comment? Board discussion? DB made the motion to approve the preliminary services contract with McKinstry for the design build project at the high school. Stefan second motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I mean, that was like half your board packet. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I can find where it ends, not it begins. Is there any student class report this month? We're gonna do this a little different. I'll do a little trustee report and Mr. Kepke will give his report. With the rest of the reports being posted and board members reading them. We'll ask for any questions, but otherwise we will move along.
I'm gonna do a quick part 2 so I can change the audio. So just so you're aware, I'm ending it and then starting it up again,
Okay. Do you want me to wait?
if you want.